From Florida's Space Coast, this is Your Career.
Welcome to Your Career. I'm Debbie Featherston, your host, and with me tonight is Grace Totoro. She is the founder and president of Transitions by Grace. Grace, it is a real treat to have you with me. And we are going to this time focus in on a topic that I know is near and dear to a lot of viewers' hearts, and that's the interview. But we have a slightly different spin on that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Transforming interviews into a business proposal. So tell me, given your new system of working, with job seekers, how is that really changing the interview process?
Well, it changes the interview process because it's more of a two-way conversation.
Good.
The job seeker has as much right to understand the situation from the manager's perspective as the manager does from the job seeker's perspective.
So instead of it being a one-way conversation where the interviewer is really driving the conversation, they're asking all the questions, and the candidate, we'll call them, is expected to respond to all the questions, the candidate needs to be equally prepared to come in asking questions, whether it's seeking clarification, just whatever it is, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. So
absolutely.
It becomes more of a dialogue, an exchange, a healthy exchange of information. Is that a fair way to say it?
It's definitely a healthier way, and there's less nerves involved because we're equal to a degree.
What is the employer really looking for from candidates?
Employers generally think of an employer like a customer. Okay, when you're a customer, you don't really care what the product's about, and unless you hear that it meets your needs. So I'm thinking, I have needs, I have problems. I want that job seeker who's sitting in front of me to tell me how he or she is going to solve my problems. So they're looking for an entrepreneurial mindset. And I realize that for a lot of people, they're not used to that. Or you may not want to think like an entrepreneur. But today, everybody's looking for, let's get you in here, self-starters. I don't have time to handhold you. I don't have time to explain every little detail of the business. Hopefully, the conversation will deepen your awareness of what I need, but that's basically what the employer is looking for.
So the employer is really looking for somebody and tell me what I forget. They're looking for somebody that's really has more of that entrepreneurial mindset. So they're going to take some ownership and responsibility. They're going to have some creative license to solve the problems, come up with out-of-the-box solutions. That's my
Yes, I mean, solutions, whether they're out of the box or not. I mean, they're looking for solutions. I'm talking to you because you have piqued my interest. You seem to be speaking my language in all of your collateral, and now I want to find out more about you and your collateral.
Yeah. So what about how the employer is really trying to assess or weight the different candidates? Because we know they're looking for the best person for the job, right? So that's the real task here at hand. So have you found that there's some common factors that they use to try to weigh this candidate A versus candidate B to determine who's really better?
I think we're all consumers, and we're always looking for that. We're always trying to say, why should I buy this product over this product? It comes down to you positioning your expertise and your solutions to my needs. And if you're having a conversation with your potential hiring manager, or if you want to look at it from a consumer's point of view, from your potential buyer, your dialogue with that your hiring manager is going to help you to see, am I hitting the mark?
Yeah.
Because at some point during your interview, you're going to answer the question and then ask the manager. So, how are you handling this situation right now? Do you have somebody in place, and what are they doing?
And maybe even before they give their response, they could ask, depending on what the question is.
You can, but I think if I ask you to explain how you do something...
Oh, yeah, very different.
You should explain it and then go back to that hiring manager and say, you know what, how are you handling that in your company right now?
Yeah, and I was thinking more, thank you for that, Grace, because I was thinking more, if the question is asking them for how they would handle something and you know that there would be a corporate policy or, you know, a best practice that they might have around it that's already in place, then they might want to pause and say, you know, I've handled this in a couple ways. What's the company's practice?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
You know, make sure you actually find out what they're doing, because if you work for a more liberal organization and this is a conservative organization, your answer could bounce you out. However, you may want to be bounced out.
Yeah, absolutely. It may not be a good fit for you.
That's correct. That's correct.
And I think that that's the important the shift in the way that you're coaching people to interview is helping them to understand that they are not the only ones being assessed here, that the candidate is really assessing the employer to determine if this is really the right environment for me. Can I work for this company? Can I work in this environment? Can I do this kind of job? Because they could do the job but not really want to work there.
They may not like the culture.
Yeah.
They may not like the culture of the company. And sometimes what I find is a lot of candidates are afraid to really explore. And then they get into the job and they realize this is not what I thought it was.
Right. Yeah, sometimes I think they're feeling desperate. It's like going out and buying a car. I always tell people never want that car so bad because you're not going to negotiate well, right?
That's
you're
right.
not going to really
Good
analyze and negotiate well. So, okay, so let's take a look at the interview from the employee's perspective, just briefly. What is the mindset that you would recommend that is most helpful for the job seeker to have when they go into the interview?
I would go into the interview as a curiosity seeker, almost like a reporter.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to report information that you know your audience would gravitate to, and you want to be able to, again, turn it into a conversation that makes them say, you know, I really need to get this person on my team.
Right.
Even if they don't have an opening.
Yeah, absolutely. We want them to be the only candidate of choice.
That's correct.
Right.
If that's possible, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes it will be, because my conversation with this hiring manager may be more exploratory. And now I've just closed the deal because of the way I handled myself on that interview.
Is it fair to say that some of these, what we're calling an interview, may actually be occurring before a job's ever posted? So it's really part of a networking process where we've had a series of conversations with the prospective employer, who then just falls in love with the person and recognizes this person has exactly what we've been looking for.
It's very possible, especially in the process that I teach my clients. Have what you're saying about yourself and your marketing collateral should be attracting the attention of your audience, and if it is, they're going to call you whether they have an opening or not.
That's right, because they're always looking for the best people.
Absolutely.
Always, whether they have that position open or not, because they know that there's going to be attrition for some reason, and they're looking.
They're looking. They want to have people ready on the bench.
Right. That's it. And maybe they're thinking about growing. There's all kinds of factors. We could only speculate. Well, we know preparation is really key to people being successful during any kind of an interview. So what are some pointers that how would somebody go about preparing for an upcoming interview? Well,
hopefully they've done some preparing already, because if they know that this particular employer is on their list, they've researched the company, they tie it into the company's industry, because again, if I'm in a particular industry, the issues that the industry is facing is affecting all the companies in there. They should look up the interviewer if they can get the name. LinkedIn is great for that, because you're looking for something in common, whether it's a school, whether it's a workflow history, maybe it's a person they're connected to break the ice and bond, because it's all about bonding with your customer.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Research, all kinds of research.
Yeah, so that preparation piece is be as well informed as you possibly can, because information is power, and especially when we come to an interview, because from what you're saying, if I'm interpreting it correctly, is that a person needs this information to know how to position themselves.
Yes, they really do. They need to be able to position themselves directly to that pain or that need. or the impact.
So tell us, what do you really mean when you talk about transforming an interview into a business proposal?
Okay, well, you should go in there trying to close the deal on no matter who you're talking to. It may take several interviews, you know, and especially if the role is a higher level position, it could take several months and several interviews. But the bottom line is you really want, with every question or every discussion point, you want to leave them hearing how. Yeah. How, so that they say, this is the person I need to hire. And at the end, I mean, what I teach my clients is to have an exit package.
Tell us more.
The exit package is like this. If you've had several interviews and you know you're coming down the stretch, before you actually...
means you're getting really close to an offer.
Absolutely. Okay. It's between you and maybe one or two other people. And they'll usually tell you that. You walk in there, but you keep it in your briefcase. You walk in there with a proposal, an actual proposal of your work, what you plan on doing, how you're going to do it, what it's going to cost in your salary, and in the pieces like technology you might need, budgetary requirements. You're really going to spell it out, like, this is what's going to cost you to hire me, this is what you're going to get, and this is the timeline you're going to get it. Okay, you're going to realize the return. Then you add to that a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Now, keep in mind, these are all drafts because you're not in the company. And at the end of every 30 days, you're going to leave an accomplishment story. So in 30 days, this is what I'm going to accomplish. So you're really showing that hiring manager how you think, and that you're thinking beyond the scope of your job. You're starting to show them that you understand how your role integrates with other roles.
Now, some people might be a little intimidated with that or unclear what we're really talking about. So let's break down that a little bit more, right?
Yes.
Because to leave a packet behind is one thing, but it's what you're asking them to leave behind. A 30, 60, 90-day plan of what you intend to achieve.
That's correct. Think of it as like a recipe.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to do these steps before I can get to here. And you don't have to worry that it's going to be exact, because it probably will not be exact. Think about why you're doing it. You're doing it to remind the person of who you are and how you think beyond the scope of your job. You might be a salesperson, but you also know how sales affects the bigger picture of the company. So you're a business person too, okay? And also included in that is your resume and your reference list, okay? And the reference list is in addition to the recommendations on LinkedIn, but the reference list really has people in your reference list that can support what you've done. Okay, so you've worked with them in some capacity, and they're going to support what you've done. So this is, and then at the end of the interview, when you close, you just say to the hiring manager, you know, this is really the position for me, and I've put together this exit package for you. I've been told by hiring managers, they're blown away when somebody does that, because nobody does it. So remember the process of standing out. You will stand out. It's not so much what you're saying and whether it's going to happen or not. So for those that are a little intimidated, don't be intimidated, because you're just demonstrating a different ability and a logical thought process.
And quite honestly, to really drive this point home, it's the timing of when you give that.
Absolutely.
You don't give that after an initial interview. You have an initial interview, a second, a third, a fourth maybe.
Yes.
And you've gathered a lot of critical information. About how they do business, their culture, expectations. You've got a lot of data points. So unlike that initial follow-up to an interview where you're sending the thank you letter, and in that, if I have a lot to say, I'm going to say, here's what you're looking for based on what we've talked about, maybe some of the data points that have come from a job posting or even a description, and then I'm going to say, here's what I bring to the position. I'm going to try to match it up. So somebody may or may not use that kind of a tool. We're not saying to send. So remember, what I teach is for you to stand out. That's right.
And how to be different. You can blend in with the herd.
Sure.
if you want to. There's nothing wrong about blending in with the herd, but I'm really trying to teach you some skills
Right.
on how to stand out from the herd. And
Right.
if you work with a coach on this,
Yeah.
because I work with my clients
Yeah,
on this.
I think you really need a coach to handle
Yes,
this piece well.
I proof it for them. I ask them questions. I guide them on what should go in. Remember, everybody, there's a cost to hiring, and there's a cost to spending anything. When you buy computers, there's got to be a realized return. And
Right.
even in the job seeker, if I don't see the return on you, and I don't understand when I'm going to see that return, I may go to the next person.
Yeah, absolutely. Because really what you're talking about here, when we're talking about this process for interviewing, it's a conversation.
They're all conversations.
It's a conversation. So when people freak out when they hear the word interview, I tell them it's a conversation,
Very good.
right?
Excellent.
And that's what you're talking about. It's a conversation. It's a two-way street. We're going to have an exchange of information so we can get to know each other, find out that this is or isn't a fit.
And that's why you shouldn't exaggerate,
Never.
and you should never say that you could do something that you can't do, because it will come out. So if you're being totally honest and you're being excited, showing your passion and enthusiasm for whatever it is you're doing, it's going to come out.
Yeah, you know, I'm curious, what are some of the questions that people are fielding in these interviews? They're going to be quite different, but are there some that are more common than others?
There are, and let me state this: what I was just talking about, that proposal, is with the hiring manager.
That's right.
If you have a screener, like an HR person or somebody to screen, there may even be a technology or that will screen you.
Yeah.
But some of the more common questions might be, why should I hire you, or what are your strengths, or what are your weaknesses? And they may not be as direct as that. They may camouflage the question by asking you, what are some of the things you've learned over the years that you would not want to repeat? That's a weakness.
Okay.
And you want to always keep that part of your answer short,
Right.
and then redirect
Right.
to how you've learned and overcome that, and how that, when you learned, the employer also benefited from that.
That's right. Exactly. That's a great way to handle that
Redirect.
question. Because what you're acknowledging is, this is the area that I wanted to improve in, and this is how I went about doing it, and here was the long-term, or the benefit to the former employer.
Exactly.
And so okay. So what's the best way for a person to be able to understand or to demonstrate during an interview that they understand the business, that they understand how their role really is going to fit into the organization as a whole?
Well, they in some of their answers, they're really saying, well, my role, this is how it will impact human resources in the area of hiring and retention. And I understand that finance looks at the bigger picture or the long-term goals, and this is how my role will help them achieve those goals. For information technology, I would work with IT, and I already know some of the applications they're using, and I would work with them for improvements, for technology improvements, or for purchasing new technology. So you're really linking. What you're doing is you're saying, I'm not going to have tunnel vision, and I'm not going to stay focused only on my job. I realize that my job I have to do well, but it also impacts how others do their job. So it kind of communicates your team and your big picture focus.
Yeah, very good, very good. Let's go back to that 30, 60, 90 plan again, and how you really use it to close the deal. I have had a client use this, and it was probably about 5 years ago that she used it.
Good.
In Ohio.
Okay.
Right? So, you know, when we're coaching, we coach people globally. It doesn't matter where they are.
That's true.
So she happened to be in Ohio. And she gave it not to HR, but she gave it directly to the hiring manager.
Correct.
Her boss, right? So he was just so impressed that she was able to articulate with great accuracy what she would be able to deliver in the first 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days.
Exactly.
It really made a difference because it demonstrated, to the earlier question, her real understanding of, you know, how she was going to fit in and what difference she was going to make.
It also demonstrates things that you can't put on paper, like how you think.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of times a resume, you can't communicate that.
Right.
But you're demonstrating it. You're showing them that, you know, I'm thinking. I'm not just a robot being hired to do a job.
And really, there is so much that can't go on a resume.
There's a lot that shouldn't go on a resume, because if I could make a decision on you based on what I'm reading, you probably more times than not, you will not get the job.
More times than not, they're going to open up a drawer and put it in the drawer and say, well, we'll come back to that. And then they'll go and select and these other people that they're going to talk to, because they feel like they have a good understanding of who this person is and how they can how they're going to be able to help them, right?
Right.
So instead, we don't want them to put everything on a resume.
No. No,
right.
you
We want to
really
leave
don't.
them wanting something.
You tease them in. You tease them in, and remember, the
Right.
top part of that resume is the promise in present tense.
That's it. Yep. And then you go in with the key
Proof.
accomplishments and proof,
which is the proof.
Absolutely. So that's very helpful. So for somebody that is really stepping into your new system and beginning to learn how to transform the interview into a business proposal, what are they going to find most challenging? To start.
I think it's going to be actually turning the interview into a dialogue and actually being comfortable questioning their hiring manager. What happens is too many people give the power, or their power away. And they see this person that can make a decision on making a hiring decision or not, and they're afraid to, like, oh my God, you know, test the waters.
Yeah.
But you're better off testing the waters right away, because if that hiring manager is offended or intimidated by you trying to converse, you have to think about what's it going to be like working for that person.
Yeah.
And that may not be a cultural fit for you.
Right, may not be. And of course, the other part of it is that sometimes a person interviewing them, because it's not always just one, there can be multiple, right? There's different types of interviews that we could talk about as well. That, you know, they may find that if I have to work for this person, it's not a fit. But if they're just part of that selection team and I'm really going to work with these other people, right? But you raise a good point. They have to think about the people and can I work with that person?
Can I work with them? And the culture of the company, and it's usually set by your leader.
It is.
So now, again, moving forward, human resources is a different type of an interview. They're usually the qualifiers, but I'll tell you that if the hiring manager likes you, they'll just go right to human resources and say, just do your thing, but I really want this person.
Right.
So unless the human resources person uncovers something that's a lie or felony or something, you're going to get the job.
Yeah, you're going to get the job. Absolutely. And I think that that's going to that's more likely to happen when a person has been networking and had a series of casual conversations. So they've been networked into the organization and into that hiring manager.
Yes, that's correct. The interview process for is in the third phase. So it's several meetings later. It's several meetings later because, again, I'm more coaching.
Right.
So everything I coach you in, you're going to use on the spot. And then it builds on to the next, the next, the next. So by the time you get to that 30, 60, 90 day, if you're doing what I'm suggesting, it's not going to be as hard as you think.
It really isn't.
No.
Because they're going to start with a clear understanding of the trends and the forces that are at play on that organization, that industry, and how is it impacting the organization. So in other words, how is that organization responding to those trends and those forces? And then how is it impacting getting it down to the individual level, right? To the teams and to the individual level. And so there's just a lot of information that they are capturing from a variety of different sources as well.
Correct.
That's going to be used in giving them. I know many of the candidates that I've worked with over the years have gotten comments back from their interviewers who have said, gosh, I really feel like you have a good understanding of our organization. You know, have you worked here before? You know, because they have just
That's the best compliment you could get.
It's an outstanding.
The best compliment you can get.
It shows me that those candidates are really doing their homework. So what if the interviewer starts asking a lot of the standard interviewing questions? Any guidance there to try to help a person redirect or?
Well, the best advice I can tell you is try to close the deal in every interview question. So always leave them with your performance.
Yeah.
And if they try to trip you up with something negative, talk to the negative, keep that part of the answer short, and then redirect. Redirect to how you turned it around, and then who benefited from it, including yourself.
Sure, sure. What are the lessons learned?
Lessons learned. You never want to go into a situation and if somebody says, you know, what's something, when was your work criticized, or some of those standard questions.
Right.
I hate those because they're not really showcasing your abilities.
Right.
They're just showcasing maybe how you think and organize on the spot. What you want to do is just redirect them and give them a situation, show them what happened, be honest, show them what you did to overturn that situation, and then how it benefited.
Right.
What you learned, lessons learned, as you say.
That's perfect. So, what do you say if the interviewer asks about other companies that you're interviewing with?
Basically, you want to stick to the industry that the employer that you're interviewing with is in, and show them that, yes, I'm in sales, and I am looking for a position to solve the problems of XYZ, which everybody in the industry has, and I am making connections in that industry.
Yeah.
So you know, and if that employer really wants you, when they know that their competition may get you, it may force the offer more quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the last word, Grace.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Great job. I'm looking forward to having you come back, and we'll do it again.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Well, on behalf of my guest and everyone here on the set of Your Career, thank you for watching, and remember, be career happy.
More information about this program is available online at millermediagroup.org.